Welcome back to another episode of Joel Cupcake Live with, well, me, your boy, Joel Cupcake. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Thanks for tuning in. Took last week off. Actually had a busy week for once with like pen-up stuff, which is completely mind-boggling these days. So wasn't around to do an episode. I'll have a health update episode for you guys following this episode, I believe. I got to look at how I have my episodes scheduled, but I have one of those coming soon. But so I won't bore you with a health update right now. Thanks everybody for tuning in, coming back, doing all the watching you've been doing. Last couple of episodes have been really well received. I've had some awesome friends on the show. I'm excited to continue that today. And actually, my guest today, we met back in 2016. He's an awesome dude. I'm very excited to have him on because he's the first other promoter I've had on the show. So let's take a second. Let me get him in here. This is my buddy Austin Gall from Omaha.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
I feel like you have to have like the air horn.
Oh,
like
no, I know. I should have fucking. I don't have. I want to get one of those little like soundboard things that you can do all that with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
That runs through your computer, but like. I'm kind of a boomer. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of my episodes or you see the way anybody interacts with me online. Like, everyone just refers to me as Boomer Joel these days. I'm also wearing a bandana right now, so that totally fits the monkier. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I feel like the older I get, the more boomerish I become too. So you're in good company, man.
Well, yeah, and it's just like I don't even know half this shit works. You know, like.
I'm with you. For my podcast, I have like a technical producer that literally does everything for me, which is super, super nice.
So it's tight. Everybody I talk to says that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, except for Sean. Sean just does all his shit on his own. You know, Sean Mott. And then like, but everybody's like, oh yeah, I have a friend who like mixes everything and like this and like they help check it. And I'm like, you have somebody for that? I'm like, I just have this fucking website that we're using to record the show. Like,
shout out Sean Mott too. I love that guy.
Dude, who doesn't love that guy? That's the real question. If you don't love Sean Mott, just turn this episode off. Don't watch my fucking show.
He's a good boy.
You know,
I like
he is a good boy. You are right. You are right. So, well, you know what? Let's just jump right into it. You already mentioned it. So obviously, like, let's go backwards in our conversation. Like, let's start where I would have ended because you already brought it up. There's a pandemic going on. Fuck COVID. You're doing a podcast now. What's it called and what's that about? Like, hit me with it.
Yeah, dude. So, I mean, with COVID going on, obviously, it's been really hard to keep busy. You know, to a certain degree, you know, like I guess more so what I'm trying to say is it's good to have a creative outlet during these times where, you know, promoters have really had their creative outlet taken away. You know, like you might not, some people might not view, you know, being a promoter, you know, as like a creative like position, but it really is, you know, like, you know, especially if you're kind of in the business that I'm in and like throwing parties, because you really have to, you know, be like a concert promoter and like a club promoter all in the same, you know, in the same night. So you're having to look at like things like, you know, how does the room look? You know, how should we decorate? You know, things like that. So yeah, it's been really fun, man. I've got, I kind of decided that I needed something to do besides play video games. So I got into,
Respect.
Got myself a little Focusrite, little input here. And then I got a new mic and I decided to start a podcast with my friend, Tommy, who I opened a DIY venue back in the day with. Back in the day being like 2010, you know, that's, you know, we were like 18 and 19 at that point. So that's,
you know what, you know what, man, we're getting up there in age. So like that is back in the day. Like I turned fucking 35 this year.
I turned 30 in July, so I'm about to shit my pants.
I turned 35. I have more gray hair than my fucking mom.
Yeah,
who's in her 70s. You know, like I lived way too rambunctious of a life between all the partying on tour and then the continued partying, like being a promoter, going to fests, doing all that stuff. Like,
right.
I'm probably halfway to dead this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like,
me too.
I feel justified saying back then. Like it's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
I've started to find some gray hairs that I think the pandemic has brought on, but I digress. You know, I'm happy to just to be doing something creative and, you know, I started another podcast. Well, I mean, to finish up on that, the first podcast,
What's it called?
Yeah, it's called the Where We Left Off podcast.
Okay.
You can find it on all major streaming platforms, like every podcast does. But we really just take in people that we've met over the years, like together, and just interview them, catch up with them, and have real conversations. We've had some political conversations. We've had some good guests so far. We had Jordan from Grandson on this week. We had George Schmitz 2 weeks ago from Stick to Your Guns. We had Jay Webster from Unity, Texas last week. Like it's been a lot of fun to catch up with those guys. Those are all like personal close friends too. So it's been really fun to do that. But then on the other side, I started another podcast. It's kind of a more niche podcast, but it's like a basketball podcast for the hometown team in Omaha. That I follow. So
how's that going?
Dude, it's been great. It's been really fun. Like I love, like, a little unknown fact about me. I love basketball. I love college basketball. I'm a huge Creighton Blue Jays fan. They're the team out of Omaha. I've gone to their games since I was like a kid. So
yeah,
like, I know everything. I know mostly everything about the program, and it's really fun just to go through and like I'm going through and doing like former player interviews and like doing like game analysis and like, like it's been a ton of fun, dude. I really tight. It's a really niche, it's a really niche audience. So it's not like I have like a bajillion people that I'm talking to about like this huge topic, but the community is really fun, and it's been fucking a blast. It's been able to really flex my creative muscles.
Dude, yeah, I'm actually going to be starting a new podcast soon with a friend, but I don't want to talk about that because we're still ironing out the details. But it's going to be very niche to like a certain, it's probably going to be on a video game that a bunch of us play together. So we're just going to do that, and it's just going to be fun, like just another creative outlet. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's really important to keep like. I found myself like back in July trying to figure out like how am I going to bridge the gap between like the start of quarantine to like the end of quarantine, like the start of the pandemic, I guess, to the end of the pandemic. I mean I can't just sit here for for months on end and not do anything. It's really hard to just sit here every day and not do anything. So I really had to get creative, and I'm a journalism major too. I went to college for journalism.
Okay. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I still currently work in the public relations industry. I have a day job, which I've been super thankful for through the pandemic. Like it's been like a godsend. If I didn't have it, I'd be broke and on my ass. So, I really have that journalistic bug in me. So it's, I've always wanted to do something in the podcasting world, and I'm glad that I finally just took my credit card and bought all the shit I needed to do it.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I bought all the setup for this, and then I do Twitch for fun. I don't. It's not that I don't take it seriously, but like I think one of the things you learn being a promoter is like you're a realist. Like you just learn to see things like. I see through bullshit, and I think you're the same way. Yeah. So like Twitch thing, it's fucking fun. I have a good time. Sometimes I make a couple $100 a month off it. Sometimes I don't, but I enjoy doing it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about like the basketball podcast that I'm doing. Like I've never really done anything in that realm before because I've just never felt like I fit into that community because I've been so ingrained in like my music community for my entire life. So it's been a ton of fun to find like a whole new niche of like friends that I can talk to, and like, yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and that's honestly, Twitch has become that for like me and Defonce and a few other people. Like, there's this whole community on there, and it's like way less judgmental. There's way less bullshit. There's way like, I do believe that like, injustices should be called out and people should be called out for their bullshit. But there's way less of like the white knighting stuff. It's like, I can say what I want and people interpret it one way or the other. And if they don't like it, they don't watch me.
Sure.
It's not like they're not trying to find a reason to crucify anybody or trying to find a reason to make themselves look better. Yeah. By reading into shit that's not there. It's like everyone is on Twitch because they enjoy the fucking platform and the community, and it's tight.
Right. Yeah. It's very supportive. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I found too. And yeah, and inherently in some of the, musical scenes that we come from, they're full of judgment and they're full of clickiness. I mean, we want to say it's a very inclusive environment, and to a point, it definitely is.
Yeah,
there are those judgmental people that you find in
Mhm.
every in every scene that you come from. But
yeah, I mean, it's like crazy. Like every time we hire someone new at the company, you know, I always get these people that are like, "Oh, I want to work for Pinup, this, that, the other thing," and like I just go right to the chase, and I go, "Okay, well, I have a question for you." And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "How do you feel about censorship?" And they're like, "What does this have to do with anything?" And I'm like, "Just answer the fucking question, please."
Yeah.
And then they always give me an answer, and I'm like, "So, if at any point in time you post something on your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and if I call you and tell you to take that down because it negatively reflects me because your name is now attached to mine, are you going to have a problem with that?"
Right.
And they go, "Well, why does that fucking matter? I just want to put on shows and work with music." And I'm like, "You don't understand that there's a whole and this was before cancel culture and everything. Like, you know, I've been doing this for well, technically 16 years now, even though there's nothing I'm doing at the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So like, you know, there's always been a political aspect of what we do. It just is the truth. Like you can't get around it, you know? And
absolutely.
A lot of people are not about it, you know?
Yeah.
Sucks because there's a lot of people I've wanted to have work for me over the years and they weren't okay with some of that stuff. And it's like, you know, when I have a team of like 30 people, you know, so all of us affect each other and but they all understand that now. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I think for a long time I kept my circle very small because I was tired of having to deal with that. I mean, even up until this last year, it's hard to, I mean, it's really hard to put it's really hard. It's hard to figure out how to word this because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I hate when people become people that want to work for you become a part of your team and end up giving you a bad name. Essentially, it's, you know, like I've kept my circle so small for so long just because I've never wanted to deal with that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of the like, what's that phrase we're taught as a kid, like birds of a feather, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like you see one bad apple, so you assume the rest of them are bad apples.
Yeah, and I've had a ton of interesting people work for me over the years, and it makes me question my judgment of character too. You know, like when I get into these situations where someone that has worked for me, you know, like whatever that means, you know, whether if it's like doing security or like coming on road trips with us or whatever, you know, it's you know, sometimes I feel like I do have a bad judge of character because I look at some of the things that people do while they're employed for me and I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? Like this would never be okay, like anywhere, you know, like, and then it just makes me spiral into like thinking about like, man, do I really have a bad judge of character? And it's like, no, you just hired a bad person, you know? So like over the years, I've tried to like learn from that, you know, like especially as a young promoter, because I just needed like anybody who would work for cheap. And like,
oh God, yeah, I know.
It's not that's not a very, you don't get very many people that want to do that aren't completely insane, you know, like in a that's the nice way of putting it, I guess.
No, that's well, and see the thing is like most, you know, I would say about 90% of the promoters in the world that get started, they get started because they love it. They want to do it. They want to get back to the community. So you find someone else who's like, I want to get back to my community. Okay, well, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I remember when I wanted to be like that. And that's what you see, but then they end up being like a douchebag, or they're terrible with you know, the opposite sex, or they're fucking thieves, or you don't necessarily know that
you fucking name it, dude. I mean, I mean, I'm sure we've probably dealt with it all, and vice versa, you know. I'm sure both of us have had some I've had some crazy run-ins myself, man. I've had people steal money from me. I've had people, you know, get accused of, you know, stupid, insanely bad shit, and it's fucking, you know, I mean, the one thing that I've really learned is to align my ethos and, you know, my values, you know, exactly with how I want my business to be run. And, you know, when you're a kid, you don't really fucking think about that. You really don't, you know, especially when you're just given the keys to, like, you know, like in my case, like I was given the keys to like a venue, you know, like a DIY venue, and we literally did whatever the fuck we wanted to do, you know? So I had a lot of people that were just, you know, trying to attach themselves on to that just to look cool. And they were not people that should have been around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. I think the worst thing I ever had was one of the guys that worked for me. We found out he had an Oxycontin problem. And we found out because there was a band he was in that he left or got kicked out of. I don't know the full story. I really stay out of the band drama locally. Long story short, he swooped a guitar from a band he used to be in and traded it for drugs.
Oh, baby.
And none of them told me because they were like, oh, well, we didn't want you to blacklist us from shows. I was like, first off, I don't blacklist bands from shows. Second off, why the fuck would I be mad at you for this situation? Like, you know, I was like, you should have fucking told me because fuck that guy.
Right.
You know, like,
yeah.
Oh God,
oh,
yeah,
Lord.
Yeah. I've had a few. I've only had 2 people that have stolen from me, and of course, one of them denied it, and then, you know, he's fuck that guy. That's all I say about that. But I've had a couple girls that work for me, and like I always feel bad with them because like they either don't feel safe because of all like the fights and shit, or like it's just they're just being creeped on incessantly. You know what I mean? And like I have to be very vocal with like, yo, would you talk to me like that? Then don't talk to her like that. You know?
Right.
But I hate it, man. Like,
yeah,
there's so much more that goes into what we do than people realize, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, like we are creative in our own way. Like the times I've had to walk into a venue and be like, how can I make this show sick here? Or like, you know, we don't have the best selection of rooms in the Bay, especially being like DIY, not really doing the whole insurance thing. Like we do a lot of stuff off the books.
Sure.
You know? And so like, I've had to make places work and people are like, you're having a show there? Ew. Or, oh, why do you keep using this room when we hate going there? And it's like, well, you know what, dude? Like, we don't
really have a fucking option.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, especially out here in California, like, because the state's been burned so many times because all the money is in EDM, hip hop, and reggae here. But with any of those comes a drug scene. You know? Yeah. And then if you go into hip hop or gangster rap, you have the violence as well. So no matter what you're trying to do, you can go say, I'm going to open up a club that's only rock and roll. And the government is literally, the state of California is basically just going to be like, you're fucking lying. Because we know at some point in time, when it comes down to your bar sales and your numbers, you're going to have to explore the avenues of music that we feel like generate problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's hard for hardcore because they have the violence and like, dude, I had violence, drug problems, alcohol issues, hard drug problems. I mean, it's, you know, like it takes from every scene too, you know, like it's not, you know, it's.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's fucking crazy too. And I mean, we're looked at lesser just because we look way different, you know, like, you know, I mean, anybody trying to open up like a little tiny hardcore venue that's all ages or something like that in our city, like we would come in, you know, looking like, you know, a bunch of DIY kids or a bunch of fucking idiot metalcore kids. Like, yeah, of course they would be like super skeptic over, you know, like over it. You know? Yeah.
I think the only time my staff has ever been worried I was going to physically hurt someone was, we haven't had a drug issue at my shows in a really long time, and I think this is why. We had a Halloween show one year, and I come out into the venue. It was that had like a weird like lobby space, and I come out into the lobby space, and there's a chick just like passed out like this on the couch with like her eyes rolled up in the back of her head.
Yeah.
And so I like went up to her friend, and I was like, you have 2 fucking options. You can tell me what the fuck is going on with her, or I can call the cops, and you can tell the cops, and then I'll tell the whole show that the reason the show got shut down is because of you and your friend. Yeah. I was like, so what do you want? And she was like, oh, this kid sold her ex in the bathroom. And I was like, what did he look like? And that was the only time I literally, like, he had a backpack on. I picked him, I grabbed him by the backpack, and he turned around, and I literally just grabbed him by his throat and threw him into the wall. Like, I didn't hold him there. I threw him. Yeah. And then he fell, and he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, go look at her. I was like, you're selling drugs to people at my show. You've been coming to my shows for years. You know that that's not okay. I don't care if it's how you have fun on your own. You don't do it here. And like, I forget what the kid said to me. He put me in like blind rage mode, and I picked the dude up and I threw him into a set of glass doors, and like the glass doors almost broke. And my whole team was like, dude, you need to chill. And I literally, I remember in front of we had 400 people there that night. the show like stopped because they saw it going on. And I remember in front of the whole crowd of people, I literally was like, if I ever catch you selling drugs to kids at my shows again, I'll fucking murder you.
Jesus.
And I was just like, and like the next day I was like, man, I was really out of hand. I mean, like I don't really feel like I was out of hand, right. But like usually I try to have a lot more like poise. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you when something happens on your home turf and you feel like, I don't know, for me, it's like when I feel like I let people down when I let stupid shit like that happen at my shows, you know, like that's it, like, and it turns to rage. You know, like all we want to do is create like an inclusive environment for everybody, you know, and like a safe environment. And like when people come into that and try to fuck with it, I mean, it's like it's like you're messing with their kids or something, you know, like you get super defensive, you know, you might not even know that person, but like I remember specifically when I was a kid, I booked one of the biggest shows I ever booked, you know, like it was like I have it hanging on my wall over here is Oceano Chelsea Grin. This is the Contagion tour back in like 2010.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
We like sold it out at Sokol Underground, and there was this fucking kid who did the same thing, was like buying drinks for like this fucking girl, and she like this underage like 16-year-old girl, and like yeah, that's not fucking okay. So
no,
like,
sure.
So I called the cops and he got arrested, and it's like, yeah, don't fucking do that. Like, you know, you can't, you know, I over the years, dude, I think I felt it necessary because I hated having cops come to our shows to just like handle things like ourselves, which isn't always the greatest idea, but like it's been nice not to have to worry about that anymore, because I feel like every venue that we work out of now just has such great security that like it just doesn't even happen anymore. So
yeah. Well, the other thing is like I think we're unique because like I'm sure every scene has their way of dealing with things, but like some people don't understand that, like, when you come from the metal / punk / hardcore world, like, when you have a problem and you say something gets dealt with, like, people don't get what that means.
Yeah,
you know?
it gets fucking dealt with, like, right then and there. Like, there's no calling, there's no calling the cops.
Yeah, like, right then and there, or, like, you tell the person, like, I'm going to handle you the way we handle things, and then that person just disappears because they don't want to get rickrolled. Sure. Let's just say rickrolled because we're on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I fucking get it. You know, and the thing that really bums me out is unnecessary like misinterpretation and competition in our business. Like, and in my area, like I have a couple new promoters that have popped up, and they've all come from like the pop punk world, or like they don't understand hardcore. You know, they don't get it. Sure. You know, and they also, so they just look at me as like I'm the dude that's been doing shows for, you know, a decade and a half. Like, oh, like a lot of bands feel like they've been burned by me, but you know, that happens to every promoter. I don't care.
Yeah, every promoter.
Yeah. So this one of the people in question, I will try to say, use as much anonymity as possible. Basically, like said that like, oh, like this band has some predators in it, you know, but everyone's booking them all willy nilly. And so I like messaged this person, and I was like, what band are you talking about? You know, who's booked them? Where are they from? And like, what proof do you have? And the dude literally sorry, I actually don't know what their pronoun is, so I should say the person anyways.
Okay.
So this person goes, you know, like, oh, well, you booked them before, so you're just going to protect them because they make you money. And I was like, whoa. I was like, you don't know me at all.
It's like I don't make money, period, bitch.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, A, I don't make money. B, like, I'm messaging you out of concern for our scene, because it doesn't matter if their band has made me money in the past. I don't want someone like that around.
Right.
You know, like every time there's been an accusation of like some shit like that, I look into it personally. I don't make phone calls. I'll like hit up the girls myself, or, you know, well, it's not always girls, but you know what I mean? Like, I'll hit up the victims in question and be like, what happened? Fucking tell, like, I want to hear it in your own words, and I'll make sure X person or Y person is not ever here and welcomed around again. And I don't just mean my shows, I mean the scene in general, because the scene should take care of itself. you know. And so like of late there's been like some issues, and people just assume that, I guess, you know, because we're the bigger production company, that my morals don't matter. Like, and I'm like, dude, that's fucked up, dude. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think yeah, I totally know what you're saying, man. Like people, and I've come across this in my experience too. It's like people just assume that like you protect everyone, and like you know, if you book a band, that equals endorsement to whatever is going on that you don't know about. And that is, it's extremely frustrating. And it's not only people that like you book, but it's the people on your team as well. Like if someone has a problem, you know, with someone that is associated with you or works with you, it's extremely difficult to deal with, because, you know, I like I said, I want to. Sorry, my Canada Dry is getting to me here.
You're good, dude. You're good.
I want to create a very inclusive environment, no matter what. You know, no matter the circumstances. My goal is to create an environment that everyone feels safe in. So if that means someone that is playing on a band, or someone on my team, or if I've said something to you, that needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think over the last year, that's where I've kind of turned focus on myself as well, because I feel like, you know, people get this idea of who you are in their head just because of the things that you do in your promoting life. And, you know, whether you know it or not, it rubs off, you know, if whether you know if a band has an issue or not, it rubs off on you because that's associated with your name. And, you know as well as I do that's that's not good for business, you know, like, and, you know, and that's why I've tried to take like a proactive approach, like you are as well, like talking to people, reaching out to people, addressing issues immediately when they come up, is like, yo, like, I just want to get to the bottom of this. Like, let me know what's up. I can, you know, adjust as needed. Like, I had to fire someone back in like July who was like a good friend of mine that had some shit pop up about him. You know, I don't want to get into the specifics of it because it's fucking embarrassing, but like, you know, it's you really have to take responsibility too. And like, that's over the past couple of years, that's what I've really like focused in on, is like being like responsible as a promoter for, you know, some of these social issues that go on within the scene, and taking them very seriously. You know, like, you know, we are going through a very fragile time of cancel culture. You know, like you said, I mean, like, everybody knows I hate that fucking word. I hate cancel culture. I hate the fucking word. I hate the phrase. You know, if like bad people need to get out of like whatever we're doing, so be it. Just tell them to get out. Let's not just create like this whole movement about it. Let's just like, let's take a calculated approach to everything and make sure that like, one, people learn, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I mean, I guess there's levels to it. There's people that knowingly manipulate people to like do bad things. And there's people that maybe just don't know any better. You know what I mean? And like, there's teachable moments within all of that. You know what I mean? And what I've tried to do is like take a more proactive approach to like handling things in that matter, because like, I don't want to be that guy at age 40 that is still like, you know, like you said, like throwing people through doors. You know, like, I've had plenty of situations like that fucking too. You know, like, I don't want to be that guy. You know, like, exactly. I don't, you know, like, I grew up that way because we grew up in like a scene that like dealt with shit, you know, and like that totally shaped who I am. It totally comes out of my personality, like, you know, for the person I am today. But like, the person I am today totally wants to be more calculated in like the way that I handle things these days, you know? So that's the way that I try to view those things. Like, I've had like I said, I've had a ton of situations like that the last couple of years. Like, people, you know, whether if it's like, I guess I don't even want to get into the specifics. It's all fucking water under the bridge. Once you let somebody go, or like you fire a band, or like stop working with people, like, the one thing I've tried to work on this year is like letting go of that, you know what I mean? And just like moving on, you know, because like I carry it with me, you know, because like it reflects so poorly. It reflects so poorly on me. And I feel like I've had so many of those instances where I've just been caught in the middle of like these bad character judgments, and like having that rub off on who people think I am. You know, and it's fucked. It sucks ass. Yeah,
we had a situation a couple of years ago that, up until earlier this year, actually, I wasn't able to let go of. And just like it, like there was so much shit talk on both sides of the fence, and like all this political turmoil and like scene drama, and people that have been coming to my shows for 12 years told me I should go get fucked and threatened to beat me up. Like just just like crazy. Like it threatened my relationship with my girlfriend, like all this stuff. And until recently, I wasn't really able to fully like get over it and process it. You know what I mean? I finally had a conversation with one of the dudes that was on the other side of the situation recently. And like, I was really like, I had held a few things against him that I shouldn't have, because he has grown since then, you know, but just like kind of talking to him about it and like getting it off my chest fully, and also hearing someone else's side fully, really just helped me be like, I can fucking walk away from this and just leave it. Cause like, you know, I think a lot of people don't understand like what goes into what we do as a promoter. Like, and like, we're proud of what we do. We want to help our scene. We care, like, but also like the money and the stress and the time. And like, so I'm very proud of what I've done. Like, I try not to be like egotistical about it, but it's something that's defined my adult life, especially with how long I've been doing it, you know? And so like, I'm terrible at letting shit go. So I know fucking, goddamn, I know exactly what you mean. Like that's been a big focus of mine, is like, you know, I felt bad. I had some dude hit me up like a month ago. He messaged me on Facebook and was like, oh, like last time we interacted at a show, like you know, my band played for you. I was tanked and we were unhappy about like the sound. And I said some really harsh shit to you, and you haven't spoken a word to me since. And I straight up was like, dude, I love and appreciate your apology. I was like, I don't even remember what you're talking about. Like, I am trying to put that stuff behind me, like, and not be a vindictive person at all anymore. And like, that's, to me, that's some of the most important like growth I've had in a minute.
Yeah, and it's important for your career to grow like that too. You know, like I think for the longest time, like I struggled with anxiety and depression and probably a plethora of different other things that I haven't been diagnosed yet with. But like I had anger issues like very bad, and like my mid-20s, my early 20s, and even into like poured into like my late 20s, I'm a very angry dude, you know, like, and I've really had to like measure myself the last 2 years and be like, dude, do you want to fucking like die at the age of 50 because you're so fucking mad all the time? Like, and I honestly, and people tell me that like all the time, you know, it's like, dude, you have to calm down. It's like the promoter lifestyle does not lend itself to having serious mental health issues. You know what I mean? Like, not only are you pressed about money 24/7, but you have to worry about so many different other things. You know what I mean? Like dealing and like finally when I got like myself some like mental health help, you know, and like, you know, started taking like my depression seriously and like looking at like my anxiety issues, like I started to get better, but like, you know, I still struggle to this day of like, you know, trying to control like my responses to things, you know, and like that's like the hard thing, like in being a promoter, because I feel like I'm always on speed 100, like when we're at like an event or something like that, and like I don't mean to be like angry, but like if something goes wrong, I'm gonna get like a little like snippy and like, you know, you know, but like I've taken quarantine to really like, I think, grow in that manner. So like when we do get this second chance at life again, which I hope comes very soon. Please, yeah. You know, I think I'm going to be a lot more measured of a person. I think I'm going to be a lot more patient. I think I'm going to be so much more well equipped to deal with the stress and the chaos of kind of that environment again. And I'm looking forward to it too. You know, like it's.
Well, yeah, and I think we're also going to be better equipped. Like, I'm not saying I'm not appreciative of what I've gained from being a promoter, the people I've met, the bands I know, the people that are my friends now. Like, I mean, I still every once in a while get those stories where like, hey, like growing up as a kid, I had nowhere to be and I started going to your shows and I never stopped. And that was fucking 9 years ago. And every time I get a story like that, I'm like, I'm proud. But it's like, I think now more than ever, like, not that we would ever take what we do for granted, but sometimes even if it's your passion, it still turns into a job. It still feels like a job. And I think now, like, that's what I'm potentially the most excited for. I say potentially because Lord fucking knows what's going to go on with us getting back to doing this. You know, like, potentially, like, we can sit around and, you know, we'll have missed it. So it'll be that much more enjoyable and rewarding when we get back to it.
Right.
So
yeah, I very much look forward to this second chance. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's been good for, I think all of my promoter friends, I think, have been really, while it's been tough, it's been good for, you know, personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, like it's fucking, it's really hard to pick through sometimes because, I mean, being a promoter and being, you know, like, you know, I also DJ for like Emo Nite, and I do a ton of that. I do a ton of that shit like all the time. You know, it becomes like your personality, and like that's what I never wanted that to be my personality. You know what I mean? And like I mentioned it earlier, like I'm getting into like doing like a Creighton basketball podcast now. Like it's been really, this has been a great time for me to like step back and like discover things about myself that like I need to give more attention to. You know, like I've really done some personal growing, but I've really done some great work in like developing some other parts of my personality other than just like being on the road 24/7 or, you know, being so obsessed with like putting in offers that like I don't go to bed until like 2:30 in the morning or something like that, you know?
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. I feel that, dude. Yeah, like that. Honestly, that's part of the reason I started this podcast was get some of my juices out. You know what I mean? Like my creative juices, but also like it's been a really good way to reflect. And I realized that like in the last couple of years, I've done what you've done. My circle is small, and then like there's only a few people that know me, and everyone's always like, "Oh, well, that's you know, blah, blah, that's Joel being Joel or whatever." I realized that like everyone knows Pen Up Joel and not just me as a dude. And I want more people to realize that I'm a dude, because every time somebody has beef with me or like, oh, I heard this and this and this about you, it's like, dude, spend 20 minutes at the bar with me and I'll you know,
slide into my DMs and let's fucking like actually have a talk. You know what I mean? Before you make like, you know, it's weird because sometimes I almost feel like a fucking rock star with how people like try to treat you. You know, like I'm not a fucking rock star. I've never been a fucking rock star. I'm just a fucking guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like people are like, well, you know, you always just seem so busy. Like, bro, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs like 9 out of 10 times. You know, like I'm not fucking doing anything. Yeah. Like I'm always receptive to like opening a fucking DM or like responding to a DM or a message or a fucking phone call, or God forbid, like if we're not in the pandemic, let's go have a beer and like talk about it, you know, like that. Dude,
I would fly to Omaha and have a beer with you right now if I could, dude. Like
here's something.
That's how much I missed it. Like I would go to fucking Nebraska to have a beer if I could.
So here's something fun. I actually don't live in Omaha anymore.
Oh.
No, I don't. Yeah, I moved in November to St. Louis. So I'm here with Colin, baby.
Colin, dude, STL on top, baby.
He's my guy. I like him. I recently kind of connected with him and Robert over at Red Flag. And I'm really looking forward to kind of talking with them about helping out here in St. Louis. You know, I'm always going to keep my stuff in Omaha. Like I'll always, you know, like I could book a show there at the drop of a fucking touch. You know, like
how far is Omaha from STL?
About 6 hours.
Oh, that's not that bad. No, I thought that was much farther apart than that.
No, yeah, I grew up here. I have family here. I've always wanted to move here. You know, like my grandpa lives across the river in Illinois, so you know, and he's 85. So you know, I didn't really have anything going on this year, so I was like, "Fuck it, dude, I'm gonna move and make a new home out here." So I moved out here. My girlfriend lives pretty close to here as well, so it's just me and the dog. And yeah, it's been super nice, dude. I really enjoy like the area that I moved into. Like I can walk and get like a coffee most days or like a juice or something, and really looking forward to like when the pandemic is over and I can explore like all of the bars in my neighborhood. It's been a nice change. Like it's definitely like different, you know, like have you ever been to Omaha? Like
only on tour, you know what I mean?
I mean, like, it's not like it's a fun city, but it's very white, for lack of a better explanation. You know,
I understand.
It's extremely white, and St. Louis is extremely diverse. Like it's been really fun to get out and like check out all these new restaurants and like meet my neighbors who have been like super cool, and like, you know, like everybody in my neighborhood is fucking nice and like chilling, and they're not like all 100% white old people. Like it's fucking nice.
Oh God, yeah.
It's super nice. Like I really enjoyed it.
We live in this town on the coast. Like, I don't know if you know much about California. Like, obviously, most people know what Pebble Beach is. You know, that's like the golf mecca. But like, you know, that in Carmel, or like, you know, Clint Eastwood was like the fucking mayor. Like all the celebrities have houses here, shit like that. Yeah. So we live like in between the two big cities here. So like Monterey is one city, and then it's like Carmel and Pebble Beach, and then we live like right in the middle. So it's like our town is called Pacific Grove, and our town slogan is the last little American town.
Oh, that's dope.
So like everything is shut down at like 9 p.m. Like it's all fucking old. Like we have a lot of racial diversity, which is really nice, but it's like predominantly like fucking old people that live here.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with, because I'm becoming an old person myself. So
yeah, I mean, speaking of old people, like I pretty much moved here for like, you know, to be closer to my girlfriend, but like you know, I want to spend time with my grandpa before he's gone too, you know, and like being on the road so much, like between all of the markets that we do for Emo Nite and like shows and shit, like the last like 3 years, like it's just been so fucking crazy. Crazy. Like you know, we talk about it on my podcast all the time. It's just like, you know, I was pretty much like packing up the car to leave like every, you know, Thursday night we would pack up and leave. We'd have a show Friday, Saturday, and then we'd drive home Sunday, and I'd be home Monday through Wednesday. It's such a worthless time to be home. You know what I mean? So I was like, why not just, like, my parents still live in Omaha, but like I was like, why not just move to like you know, St. Louis and just like spend, you know, the remaining years that I have left with my grandfather, like super close, you know, like, so he's getting his second shot of the vaccine like this next week, and I'm fucking jacked. Like I'm gonna go spend some time with him, you know, in the next couple months. And
good.
Another silver lining of quarantine, and like having an enormous amount of time off, you know, being a promoter.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So I didn't know you grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So did you start promoting shows in Omaha then when you lived there? Or
yeah, let's
go. You know, because like I said, we met 2016 at one of the third string festivals. Yeah.
So I was born across the river here in St. Louis in a town called Belleville, and I lived in Illinois for like the first 4 years of my life. And then my dad worked for Union Pacific, the railroad company.
Yeah.
And they switched their headquarters from St. Louis to Omaha, and he got transferred. So when I was like 4 or 5 years old, we moved to Omaha, and Omaha is really home for me. But like my grandparents and like most of my relatives live here in the city. Like my brother moved back from Omaha to St. Louis too, so he's here.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But yeah, I lived in Omaha from like 95 to like 2020, like, you know, to the end of this last year. So like that's home for me. Like it'll always be home because like I've spent the most time there. But like I thoroughly enjoy, like, you know, being able to like get back to like my roots, for like the lack of a better sense. Like my grandpa's like one of my best friends. Like I talk to him on the phone like 2 or 3 times a week. Like when the pandemic isn't raging, I'm trying to visit him as much as I can. Prior to the pandemic, I was like visiting quite a bit. I was like visiting like two or 3 times a year, which is like, you know, when pretty much all of my off time when I'm not traveling from, you know, from shows. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and like spending more time with my brother and his husband. You know, like I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with my family other than my parents pretty much my entire life. So it's been fun. Yeah. But I started, you know, I've only really, you know, I got my start booking shows in Omaha and like the surrounding area, and have kind of expanded outwards. I've booked like 2 shows in St. Louis. They were not good, but you know, that's like the good thing about meeting like Colin and like getting clicked up with like Red Flag and all of those dudes, is like I'm gonna have like an opportunity to like hopefully do some stuff there. You know, not
Wait,
only
wait, shows do good in St. Louis? Sorry, I had to. That was for Colin. Because I know he's gonna watch this. He helps with a bunch of my art stuff for the show.
Dude, honestly, I think St. Louis it's such an underrated city for shows, man. I've been to some crazy, like I've been to some crazy ass shows at like Fubar. You know what I mean? And the city can be really good for shows, but it's so from what I understand, it's very spotty. You know, and I'm not gonna pretend like I know like I know this market like the back of my hand because I fucking don't. You know, like Colin has a way better read on those things, so I would defer to his judgment. But from the way that I can kind of tell, it's just like it's really spotty. Like metal stuff really does like usually like big metal stuff usually like does as good as any other city, but like you know, St. Louis is kind of like any other Midwest market, man. It's like you're fighting for every fucking ticket sold, you know, like it's hard to even think about that right now because I don't even remember what it feels like to sell tickets for a show. But
oh god, yeah,
you know, like
I had somebody hit me up for a refund from a show last June, and I was like, did you call the ticketing company? Like, I don't what, you know, like it just like fucked my whole day up because my brain just got like ripped back into promoter mode, and I was like, I was like, the ticketing company should just issue you a refund. It's not that hard. Like,
yeah, it's speaking of that, man. I mean, it's been this time has been super hard, you know, like, and I'm glad that they're starting to get some legislation passed, you know, in terms of like getting money allocated for like venues and like rooms that need that fucking money.
Hopefully it goes to the right places.
Yeah. I'm really hoping the same thing. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm optimistic. As long as they applied for it, they should get it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, it's been really fucking hard. We've had a ton of venues close, like an astronomical amount of venues that have.
Yeah,
closed.
it's not okay.
The main venue that I use here in St. Louis for the emo nights that we do in this market, gone. Like it was gone the second week of the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like. It's super fucked up. It's really, really, really fucked up. Like I've lost venues in every city that I because like in the Midwest, like we don't really have the pleasure of like being able to drive an hour to go to a show, or like, like it's, if a show doesn't hit somewhere that you're close to, like in Omaha, you're driving 3, 4, 5 hours to go see something, so every city
what's the next big city to Omaha?
Well, I mean, it depends on which direction you go, because if you go north, it's like Sioux Falls, Sioux City, which are like two really shitty C markets, and like low C markets. And then if you go east, you have Des Moines, which is like 2.5 hours, which is like a great city. Like they've had, and we had a venue closed there, Vaudeville Muse, rip, like super.
Oh, Muse closed?
Yeah, Muse is done.
I did not know that. That's
I mean, I've grew up going to shows there my entire life. Like I saw the first show I ever saw there was Terror, Amir, After the Burial, Thick as Blood.
Oh, that was the Mosh Lives 2 tour. I booked that tour.
Yeah, fucking yeah, super sad, dude. Like the memories that I have at these places, like, so that place closed, and then like if you go south, like to Kansas City, that's like 3 hours. So, we have Lincoln just to the south in Omaha, but that's like 45 minutes, and like that's not like a bad drive, like whatever.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I've had venues closed in St. Louis. I've had venues close. Where else have we had venues close? I think we had one close in Milwaukee. I had the Lookout Lounge here in Omaha closed, which is fucking devastating. Like absolutely fucking devastating for the DIY hardcore scene there. I mean, I worry about what a lot of these cities are going to look like when this is all really said and done. I mean, if they're not getting PPP money and like, being able to keep their business afloat, I mean, the hardcore community and like alternative communities that use those spaces are really going to fucking suffer. And it's really sad, and, I've had a lot of these conversations talking about what what's going to happen in like this next wave. And, and a lot of the people that I've talked to that are, arguably a generation above me are just like, yo, it's your generation's time. So I've been trying to figure out like what that means, because a lot of these cities are going to be like, void of venues. So does that mean that we pick up and like transition into something new and like open a venue, or like it's hard to figure out. It's hard to figure out where my place is going to be in some of these cities like post this, just because there's not going to be a fucking room to book out of, and it's not like I'm going to go into every city and open up a venue. Like, obviously can't do that, but I worry about a lot of these DIY scenes. Like the lower bands that aren't, the touring bands that are just starting out trying to get like a fucking scratch at the surface are going to have such a hard time getting started after the pandemic, just simply because the existing rooms in Omaha, are already going to be packed. Like those calendars are, you thought you had a hard time trying to get calendar space for a show. Like, wait until like things click back. Like, you're going to be waiting months, you're going to be booking shows on a Monday.
Dude, before the pandemic, like the main venue I use out here is in Santa Cruz, called the Catalyst. They've been a room for, I think they're about 30 years now. Prior to the pandemic, there were times I had like 9th hold on dates, for a 1,000 cap room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so after the pandemic, fuck, dude, I might not even bother, like I've already talked to a few agents that hit me up, and I was like, listen, man, when stuff comes back, it's going to be a lot of door deals, and it's going to be a lot of like, I'm going to put your show in a small room and just sell it out and not deal with the hassle, because I can get the small rooms to guarantee my business.
Yeah. It's it's hard for me to even entertain what it's going to be like. I don't even know where to get my feet wet in it. And I know a lot of promoters are kind of in the same boat, but there's a lot of promoters out there that are just like, I'm just going to throw money at stuff. I'm like, dude, you're fucking stupid. Like, you have, nobody knows how, what stuff is going to be like when, I look at it twofold. I look at it from a very cautious mindset, because I don't want to lose any money, but I also have this great feeling that, we're all probably on the cusp of like a huge entertainment, boom. People haven't been able to get out of their houses to a concert or to a club or to any of that in over a year. If you're being a morally good person, you haven't had that, in the last year and a half. So, I really think that people will probably be ready to get out and ready to spend money, assuming that people have money. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that I have that has been top of mind for me. It's like, while I haven't been like really, I'm definitely pressed for cash, but like I'm surviving. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, I know so many of my friends that are not in the same boat. Like, how the fuck are they going to afford a $20 ticket or a $10 ticket? Like $20 or $10 right now is like a day's worth of food for me. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the sad reality of where we might be when stuff comes back, because a lot of people in our circles have been decimated by this financially.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'm concerned about is like, the veil has been pulled back as far as everyone would like who's a Republican and who's a Democrat, but also like who wore masks, who didn't, who believed, who didn't. And I'm also worried about like that clashing, like, oh, hey, shows are back, we're all here. Yo, why are you here? You were being unsafe the past year and a half. You're the reason we didn't have shows. Like, fuck this guy, get him out of here. Like the social clashes are my worry. And then like also like, and I've said this on a couple other episodes because people have asked, like, people aren't just going to want to come right away. Like, that's what, like all these agents are like, oh yeah, well, like, I know there's a few tours being worked on for like October and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, like you can't ask 2019 money because we can't guarantee you that 1,000 people are still going to come up for this show, because 60% of those people might be so freaked out by COVID that they don't come,
Yeah. And I'm a militant mask wearer. I'm a militant social. I haven't seen anybody in like 4 months now. Like I'm militant with like how I spend my time, because I don't want to contribute to the problem. That does not mean that I'm going to judge people that aren't, you know what I mean? Correct. And like, I definitely understand what you're saying about like the social implications of like, oh, yo, person X over here fucking was out like at the bar every other night. You know, it's like, yeah, that definitely was what was happening. You know, like, but what are we gonna fucking do? Are we gonna villainize each other for the rest of our lives? Like, yeah, you can make your personal judgments about people, but like, if you take it to the point where, you know, you're ostracizing people, like, that's terrible for business. You know what I mean?
I agree completely.
Because you're gonna have to ostracize like 50% of your client base. You know what I mean? Like, you know, make your moral judgments about whatever you want, because that's your personal right. But like, leave it at the door when it's like, when it comes to business.
And that's what I'm hoping that people do. And the other thing that I know is going to be a challenge for me is, like, I'm sure you've seen, like, we're doing some live stream events every once in a while. Like, we've done a couple. I'm trying to make sure we have the setup and the gear in place so that when the pandemic is over, we can still live stream our shows for the people that aren't comfortable coming. Yeah. And then like, it'll be like $5 to watch the stream. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. Like, I definitely think people will be eager to get back. I mean, I think everybody's eager at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we're all going stir crazy. I'm going fucking stir crazy. I don't fucking do anything with my life anymore. I'm more stir crazy than people probably imagine.
Yeah.
But it's, you have to really let people do their own thing. You know, you can't force anybody out of their house. You can't, you can try to set up live stream shit like that, but the people that want to be there will be there, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's on us to kind of look at how we can make those environments as safe as we possibly can. You know, like I'm fully on board with requiring masks at my show, at least until if we come back in the fall, like, if you're going to come out, wear a fucking mask. Like, who cares? Like, it like, we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. People, like 500,000 people have died in our country. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like,
well, dude, I went
put a piece of cloth over your fucking mouth, come to the show, bang your fucking head, and we can pretend like everything's okay. You know,
we went for like almost an hour-long walk on along the coast the other day. In this, it hit like mid-70s. Like, it was, so I don't, you're a big guy like me. I was sweating.
Yeah.
And I was double masked the entire time, and it didn't even fucking bother me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I don't really think I don't get it, dude.
Yeah. I mean, and I will be that guy. I will be that promoter that is like, masks are required. I will enforce it. If you're fucking around and not wearing it, I will kick you out. It's a liability. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at it from that standpoint, because, if we are true to what we say and we are trying to create the most inclusive and safe environment for everyone, that extends beyond social implications. And general safety concerns, physical, safety concerns. It extends to like what you can't see. You know what I mean? And like, we have to think about those people and what we are doing as a potential super spreader event, Well,
and there's so many people that have already said there's a good chance that we're gonna have to wear masks through 2022.
Right. And
it's already the norm, but I'm seeing I've seen a couple different reports of people saying like, expect it to be the norm for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy not getting sick, and like, I was on the, hey, maybe we all should be wearing masks prior to the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, people in there's some countries in Asia that have obviously really bad pollution problems, but like, people over there have dealt with like SARS and things like that for a long time, and they've developed like ways to combat it, and like, wearing masks is one of them, and it's not just like in Asia, it's all over the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, medical professionals, like they don't lie. You know what I mean? They're not out here like trying to lie for their fucking personal gain. Like, what are they getting from telling you? I mean, like, if anything, they're like shortening like their end of like the profit, because you're not in the hospital. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're trying to prevent you from getting there. So just wear the fucking mask. But
funny thing you mentioned about that. So like, one of my past roommates is he's half Asian, and one thing, we had a conversation when all this started about masks and the pandemic and all this stuff, and something he pointed out to me that I feel like a lot of people don't know. I don't know if you see this a lot in your area. because I don't know what the population's like. But, you know, in the Bay Area, especially Silicon Valley, we have a lot of Asian people here.
Yeah.
I see them, they're always wearing masks in public.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I asked, so we had this conversation. He actually told me, and this is something that I was ignorant to, is that when you see an Asian person out in public wearing a mask prior to the pandemic, they're wearing that mask because they feel sick. They're not worried about you. They're trying to do their part to still be contributing members of society without potentially harming anyone.
Yeah, I mean, like, people all over the world pretty much understand that. It just, like, there's some disconnect here in the States about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's some. It's mostly, you know, I'm sure it's just as bad in your area in some sense of the matter, but like, I live in the middle of the country. You know what I mean? Like, people here are dead set to their freedom and like set in their ways, and it's bad here. It's bad.
They're right.
Yeah. You go to the county, like you go to like West County here, and I walked into, like, for instance, I walked into my Mazda dealership the other day to pick up like a part. Not a single person in that parts department was wearing a mask, like serving me. Like, that's insane. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think the other problem is like, how do I say this the best way? Okay, so like, we all remember when our parents told us about World War II.
Yeah.
And those stories, you know, or grandparents, depending on how young we are watching. You know, that was the last time we experienced fear. Right. So no one in our generation, like, I feel like we just have this, like, we're Americans, that shit doesn't apply to us. Like, this whole train of thought process, like, our country hasn't had strife since the Civil War. Yeah. And what there has been is hidden and not shown to most of them. Like, look at the Black Lives Matter movement. So many people still think that, like, it was like, it's like already an afterthought. And it's like, no, there was months of protests. Yeah, there still are in some places. There's still people gathering and protesting for it, but the media is not showing it to you, so it must not exist. Right. Like, right. You know, it's like, and then just that, and all these people suddenly acting out against the media when Trump gets kicked off Twitter and stuff. And it's like, dude, the shit he has said and done, and the way that our country has been acting with all the political unrest on both sides. It's not even just a left versus right thing. It's both sides. The ignorance shown. We have literally invaded other countries for less. Oh yeah, we have, and that's the thing about this whole situation that blows my mind is like, especially the people that are so like pro-military, pro-cops, don't have to be pro-cop, but pro-military, like the old ways. It's like
pro-authority.
Yeah, pro-authority. It's like, dude, both Bushes literally invaded countries for less than what we're doing inside our own country right now.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, same with the Obama administration as well, unfortunately. You know, I mean, like, I liked a lot of his policies, and I definitely voted for him both times, and I voted for Joe Biden, but that is no endorsement on how awful I think their politics are. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the other thing is like, I think we all forget that, like, you know, they're just the pyramid. They're just the top of the pyramid that you can see. There's still more. Like, there's still like there. I forget who it is. There was like some hip hop artist, you know, once said that all presidents are just puppets with their strings being pulled. I forget what his phrase in the song was. I used to listen to it when I was young, but it's true. Like, you know, no one's gonna walk in there and just do what they want. Like, they're still at the liberty of both political parties, and you know, there's still some sense of like control, you know, until we get someone like The Rock as our president, who just stands up and goes like, this shit's wrong. Nope. Sorry. Bye. Yeah. You know, like, Bernie's insane, but like, I saw a tweet today where it's like, you know, if we had Bernie as you know, and it's in this first 100 days, he probably would have erased the student loan debt and said, screw these banks. I don't care.
Absolutely.
You know, like, there's some things that like we all wrote off as like, that's too crazy, or he's too socialist,
too ambitious, or whatever.
Too ambitious, but some of the stuff, it's like, not like, when you think about the things he said he was going to do that Biden's not doing now, it's all stuff that even maybe not in the long term, but in the short term could thoroughly benefit our country.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah, and I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I know I don't have buyer's remorse for voting for Joe Biden, but I feel like it every day that I don't. That like we're still fucked. You know, like is he really doing anything? Not really. Like, you know, like I've battled with that for a long time because I definitely consider myself like a progressive. Like I'm probably a leftist, I guess. I'm definitely not like a traditional Democrat. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I think this quarantine and pandemic time has really shaped me politically too. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously been um a lot of stuff going on because we had the pandemic during like the election year. It was really hectic, but like, I've really used that as like time to like really figure out where I stand on like a lot of these issues and like where what I want to allocate my time to doing, and like somebody who I'm really inspired by, George Schmitz from Stick to Your Guns, always someone that I've always looked up to in terms of like politics because he's so far left and he cares about people so much no matter what side of the aisle that they're on. He talks about that too a lot. Like, it's like essentially what I gather from him is like, yeah, I might not like them, but they're all fucking human. We have to value like human life. And that's where I've like found myself. I found myself like really interested in like creating like mutual aid funds, like getting like raw materials to like homeless people or like setting up like like doing things that are like good for the earth and like good for like human connection. I noticed this week, like I was talking with my girlfriend, I noticed like on the side of like the interstate, like by my house, there is like an enormous amount of trash, like so much fucking trash. Like I was like, dude, we should just organize like a quick like little fucking group to like pick all this up. It'd be done in like fucking like 45 minutes. Like that's the type of shit that like I've started to like gravitate to, in my political life, because I feel like it's so much more fucking powerful to like get involved in like your community. Because when you fucking get involved with your community, you meet people that are part of your community and you fucking grow and you become more cultured. You learn about other ways that people live their lives. And that's why I fucking hated living in Omaha for so long, is because everybody was just like me. Everybody was just like me. Yeah. Like people that live there don't ever fucking leave. And it's the same watered down white ideas everywhere. Like I had to get out. And like, it's not to say that, there's all of Omaha is bad, because it's not. It's just a very I love that city. I loved growing up there, but like I just need somewhere where I feel like I can make more of a difference and not just be like trying to get like these stupid fucking old white people on board with like ideas that we should have been on board with a long time ago. Like, like healthcare and like, getting free like coronavirus tests for like people like that can't afford to go to like a doctor and like get like a rapid test, like that's kind of where I fucking have tried to focus politically. And I want to carry that over into like, into my promoter life. I've had conversations with a lot of people this last year, especially around like the Black Lives Matter like protests last June. Like I was really, I don't like to fucking broadcast this all over the fucking internet, but like I was there. Like I went to the protest in Omaha. I got fucking arrested and spent like a night in jail, and it changed my fucking life. Like I view things so much fucking differently now than I did at the start of 2020, and I'm extremely thankful for that. But like,
so what did you? Hold on, let me ask. So did you get arrested? Did they get you with like the curfew thing, or like?
Yep. Yeah, it's complete shit. I mean, it was, like that. I haven't really talked about it because I don't like to like just fucking slam it out there. It seems like a very performative thing to say if you're just like, yeah, I got fucking arrested out here. Like not everybody needs to like hear that. You can go and stand go and stand in solidarity and like get arrested and not say anything about it. And like, but like it was it was a pretty traumatic experience, and two, it was a fucking life-changing experience. I learned a lot while I was at the fucking marches and at the like protests and shit. Like I had extremely meaningful conversations in the days after that, like not only in like terms of like my social life, but like in terms of like my promoter life. Like I talked to a ton of Black artists in the area of Omaha, and like trying to figure out how I can be a more effective promoter in the hip hop scene and like be more inclusive in the Omaha music scene for Black artists and Black musicians. You know, it was, this year really fucking rocked me. You know, like I've got a lot of things that I can work on in terms of, you know, racial inclusivity, and being a promoter, that I think a lot of us could probably use a lesson for. You know what I mean? Like it's not so much that we're just like, it's not that we're racist. It's not that we're bad people. It's just like there's this huge gap in the music industry, especially in like hardcore and like metalcore, where like Black artists just don't have a voice. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, and that's not only where the problem is like, you know, delegated to. I mean, there's problems in like the hip hop community and like getting, you know, local hip hop artists booked on like, you know, at like prominent venues throughout the city. You know what I mean? Giving them an equal opportunity and understanding how I, as a promoter, can help, you know, bridge that gap so there's not a divide anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's this year has been great for learning in terms of that, for me at least. I look forward to getting back and figuring out how I can, like, you know, really help some of these voices in the community that need, you know, that want to, you know, make a more inclusive environment. I'm eager to figure out how I can fit into that and how I can empower these people, you know, going forward. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's extremely, you know, like it's hard to like navigate through as like, as someone who's like really grown up in the suburbs around white people my entire life, like not realizing like my own like racial biases and everything like that. You know, like it's not that like I have bad intentions or anything like that. It's just I largely just wasn't self-aware enough to like put the pieces together. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And it's a confusing conversation to have, man. Like not everybody understands it, you know, and especially like promoters like in the Midwest and shit like that. Like, you know, there's like, well, Black people aren't playing that style of music. It's like, well, that's absolutely not true. You're just not looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're not engaging. You know, so extremely interested to see how I can fit in to help that cause when things come back.
I like that. Yeah, I don't book hip hop or rap. I just won't do it. There's still so much. Alexa, stop.
Alexa, keep talking.
What the fuck? I don't even know why she literally, like, there's nothing going on. I don't know why she started. You know, like I've never worked with that type of music. We don't have the security for it. My team is not really trained how to deal with a lot of the artists and stuff because the expectations are different. You know what I mean? Sure. But also out here, there's still some old school dudes that are like, why are you booking that music? Like, why are you stepping on my source of income? And I just don't even want to deal with it. So I just never done with it, like, you know. But, you know, like I know Jay from Unity. I have a lot of friends who are Black guys in metal and hardcore bands, and I hope to see them touring more. I hope, you know, like, the door's always open for stuff like that. You know, like I'm lucky to be in an area that's really diverse. We have a ton of bands with Hispanic people and Asian people in it in my area, you know? So like, obviously, like, you know, I don't have the same, like, you know, you're going to make it a goal to push forward and be more inclusive. And dude, I respect you so much for that. Like with me, it's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, we did a couple like live streams and we sent all the money, you know, to like the funds for all the people who got arrested in San Jose and stuff like that. You know, like I don't want to keep doing more stuff like that. I want to find more ways that Pen Up can give back this year. I just haven't. Honestly, I'm still so wrapped up in all my own bullshit with like having Bell's palsy and then like when is this going to be over? And then like I've been dealing with my mental health has been a big struggle for me this year. Like I haven't even thought about it, but like I hope whenever we get the go ahead for shows to come back that I can focus a little bit on more ways that we can be more inclusive and give back to the community better.
Yeah, totally agree, man. Totally agree. And like, whether if it's giving back to the community in like a social sense or like even money, you know, like you said, man, it's fucking awesome to donate. Like it's such an important thing, especially for, you know, it sounded like you gave to some bail bonds, which is hugely important. I appreciate that because bail bonds got me out too. So But you know, a lot of these organizations, you know, I like to focus on finding organizations that support Black artists. You know what I mean? Like, you know, coming up like in whether if it's in Omaha or St. Louis, like I want to find organizations that are helping kids get started making music. Like it's so important. Like it's crazy because we talked on my podcast yesterday to Jordan from Grandson, and he is, you know, he's in like the electro like rock scene. You know, he's playing. You know, he blew up over the last year, but he's from Canada, and like he was talking about how in Canada they, you know, the government is extremely involved in like giving them money to create art. You know, like
they're creating art and they're spreading the Canadian way of life. Like,
yeah. So he
I
was like,
I think it's New Zealand and Australia do the same thing too.
yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what my friends would have done with some of that cash. Like, I can't fucking imagine what some of my friends would have done with that cash if they had it. Like all you need to get started, like if you're a good band, you need like a couple $1,000s to get started. You know what I mean? Like having the government supply that to you is such a fucking crazy concept. And that's why it's important. You know, it's like, I mean, that's such a crazy concept to me because we don't have that here, you know? And I mean, the reason it's important to like give money to those organizations is because kids need to keep making music. You know what I mean? Like I'm noticing it now, man. Like there's a huge gap in people and like huge gap in generations right now of like, dude, like seriously, I don't know. In my markets, there's some markets where I would be hard pressed to find some new kids that are playing music. You know what I mean? It's the same people that I've been working with for ages and ages and ages, and there's nobody new popping up. You know, and I feel like that's, you know, with the, you know, with social media and like video games and like, you know, the connected lifestyle to like your screens, as that becomes, you know, over the last 10 years, as that has really taken a grip on like American society, like I just don't see kids playing music anymore. I don't see anybody new coming in and creating.
They just want to do the whole like EDM DJ thing.
Well, which is fine. Which is fine. You know, like,
but it's like, but I understand what you mean about like the playing music, learning an instrument, learning a craft and another skill. Like even that whole like so many people are like, I'm just gonna go be an influencer. It's like, dude, like I have done retail, I have done food service, I have done chef, like line cook stuff. Like I have been fucking a grunt where I just do shitty, bitchy physical labor all day. Like I've done all of it, and that wouldn't have made me who I am today. Like I wouldn't be who I am today without all that, you know?
Yeah. And dude, you talk about that, but dude, I think I need to apply for a part-time job. Speaking of that, like I just need to pay off some debt, and I don't have any fucking money coming in right now. So I need to like, I'm thinking about just going to apply at like a fucking local grocery store or something until the pandemic is over.
That or do fucking like, dude, UPS and all those companies pay super well.
Yeah, you know I could do that. I could, you know, I mean, like I already have a day job, you know, so like I need to find something that can fit within like a 9 to 5 schedule, which is fucking hard. You know, like who the hell wants to hire you from 5 to 10? You know, like
right.
You know, a grocery store maybe. I don't fucking know.
I mean, you could be a stalker somewhere. Like that could probably work.
Yeah. I have to figure it out, man, because I either need to make more money or get a part-timer, but I digress.
I gotta
neither here or there.
My Bell's palsy goes away. I'm getting a job that's back as soon as I can control this damn eyeball. I don't even care about my mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I can fucking breathe and I can swallow my fucking water. Sometimes I spill it, but who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like not being able to control my eyeball, that sucks. You know, as soon as my eye is healed, I'm getting a job because I just can't sit around and wait anymore. Like,
yeah, it fucking sucks, man. I've been playing way too many video games lately.
Same.
It's bad. It's bad.
I don't know how my girlfriend hasn't beat me up yet.
Yeah, I think my girlfriend's about there. Like honestly, like if I say I'm gonna go play Call of Duty one more time, I think she's probably gonna. You might have a dead Austin on your hands.
Yeah, it's you or the Xbox out the window, right? Or PlayStation, whatever you play on.
I play PlayStation. I'm a OG PlayStation guy.
I'm an OG Xbox guy, so I feel it.
Well, it's kind of weird because I crossed over when I was like in college. I had PlayStation like my entire life until I got to college, which was like 2010 to like 2014. So I got a 360 in that time period. I loved it. I liked my 360. It was dope. But I think I like my PS5 better.
I don't agree with you, but I can respect it.
I should probably get a PC. I don't have one.
I know I don't. I have my laptop can do like basic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like Overwatch is very heavily optimized, so I can like play that, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah. I need to. I'd like to get a PC. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Like all my friends are getting them. Like Defonce is like obsessed with his. Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are making this switch, or they're doing like one of the consoles and a PC. And I'm like, damn, it must be nice to have that much fucking money.
Wait, Defonce is on a computer, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He has a PS4, but he's all on his computer.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought he made the transition.
Yeah, but he did. And then I have a bunch of other friends that have like always been on Xbox with me, and now they're getting a PC as well. And I'm like,
fuck,
shit's expensive, dude.
Shit.
Yeah, but
super expensive,
dude. Fuck, man. Fuck. Well, you know what? Let's get to some fun questions. How do you feel about that? You down for
let's do it. Yeah, get it.
What is your favorite show you've ever booked?
Oh man. Okay.
You can give me a list, like top 3, because I don't even have a top 1. Like I have like a, you know.
Yeah. Usually my favorite shows are like bands that I'm fucking obsessed with. You know what I mean? Like I booked Comeback Kid this one time with Foundation and Living with Lions.
Oh, that's a fucking awesome show.
Yeah, super sick. And I mean, like Comeback Kid was one of my favorite bands growing up. So, like when I had the opportunity to do it, it was
Wake the Dead is still like
it's legendary.
You literally can't touch that album. Like
it's a crazy nostalgic album for me because like me and my friends grew up listening to that and turn it around. Like we would drive around and like my friends would skateboard and I would just like sit around and like kick rocks. Actually, I didn't fucking skateboard, but we would listen to that shit all the time. So when I booked them for the first time, it was fucking awesome. Like I relished in that moment. Like it was fucking sick. What else? I booked one of my I have a really wide ranging taste in music. Like I'll go all the way from like simple rock to like, you know, like like a Comeback Kid to fucking I'll listen to like Avicii. Like we were talking about that yesterday. Like I fuck with Avicii sometimes. Like
do you get into death metal at all, or do you not go that
way? I do. Yeah, absolutely. It depends. Like I'm very picky with the type of death metal that I listen to, but like, you know, like I grew up booking death metal. Like I grew up booking like Oceana. I book Oceana. Like I would consider them death metal. You know, like would you consider that death metal? I mean, what do you call it?
I feel like deathcore is a socially standardized term these days.
Yeah.
Like I feel like at first it was like deathcore was like the hype, and then it was like the cringe. Oh, it's cringy, you like that. But now it's its own genre of music. I think that. I mean, I know to some people that word is still cringy, but.
I mean, but anyway, I mean, I booked one of my favorite bands from the UK. They're called Lower Than Atlantis. They were
dude,
fucking sick band. Really,
that band is fucking tight. So I never got to book them. So my parents live in a little town called Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's like 45 minutes north of El Paso, Texas.
Yep, I know where it's at.
Okay, yeah. So my parents retired there. My dad had some health issues, so I lived there for like 2 years with them. Well, I lived with them for a year, and then with some friends at a house in Las Cruces for a year. Lower Than Atlantis was on tour, and they got stuck in the snow and couldn't get to where they were going. Yeah. And so they actually ended up just staying at my house and partying for 2 days. They were like the funniest fucking dudes.
Oh yeah. I have a similar story, man. I spent a lot of time with those guys when they were in the States. Like they stayed at my place a couple times. They played Omaha, I think 3 times, and I booked them at my DIY venue towards the end of our stint of us managing that venue. And you know, the DIY venue was super tight. I mean, it was a 150 cap. It was like a box. You know, like didn't have a stage. It was a floor. It was a floor vibe.
Just play and have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and they played, and like you know how they are. They're kind of like rock, like kind of like punk rock. You know, like I would kind of like their later albums are definitely like more rock than anything. But like I booked them, and like they had like my favorite album out at the time, World Record, which was like a defining moment like in my musical like journey, like that record coming out. So it was awesome. I loved that show. It was super sick.
That's tight. That's tight. Now what's your I feel like this is a relative term, so I almost hate asking this question, but like, what's your biggest show, or like what do you feel like stands out the most to you? You know, in like a on paper sense, you know?
Yeah. I think I've got like 3 that come to mind. Like I remember like they 2 of them came really early in my career. Like, you know, I was all about like trying to like cultivate like a community in Omaha before I left, you know, especially in my early years. Like I was like really like dead set on like giving back to this community that gave me a home. Cause like when I was in high school, I fucking hated everybody I went to high school with. So like when I found a community that I finally fit in with, like I fucking relished it. Like I loved all of those moments that I had. Like
that's my favorite thing about like the metalcore scene is that.
Yeah. And I had a great time like growing up there, and like I just wanted to give back when I became a promoter. Like I wasn't like in my career, I wasn't like, I didn't care about money. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, and I would be friendly with everybody. So I became friends with this band called the Color Morale. I'm sure you probably heard them. But they were on a tour with the Chariot and I think Greeley Estates, Oh Sleeper was on it. And Memphis Mayfire opened it. Like this was way back when. And I became friends with Garrett. They played Omaha and they announced a tour right after I had met them. And I was like, oh, you guys have an off date in between there. You guys should just come play a show. And he's like, yeah, dude, we should do like a free show sometime, like in Omaha. I think it'd be like a cool vibe. And we ended up putting together like this free show for them on like their day off, like where they could just come sell merch and like play a show. And then like all of a sudden, it was the Chariot and the Bled. I'm sorry, the Bled was the co-headliner on that. The Bled did not play, but the Chariot ended up talking to the Color Morale because there was a ton of hype on this free show that we had going on. They ended up jumping onto the bill. So this was like one of the first shows I ever booked. And like we went through the process of like adding the Chariot and like promoting it. And like it was a free show, like $0 to get in, which was like, going to see the Chariot and like a 5-band package for free. That's fucking crazy. Yeah. You know, like that is fucking insane. That never happens ever. I've never heard of that happening anywhere ever since that day. So yeah, we showed up to the venue and like the fucking package loaded in and 600 people like fucking showed up. We had to turn away like 400 people.
Holy shit.
And I mean like early in my career, that was insane. Like that was fucking crazy for me. Because I went from booking shows with like 20 to 30 people to like one night having like to turn away 400 people, so
oh man, that's insane.
And then like it just kept coming for a while after that. Like that first like year that I promoted was fucking insane. Like deathcore was like at its fucking peak. Like I sold out. The first show I ever sold out was that Oceana tour, that Contagion tour that I was talking about. Like we added My Children, My Bride to that show, and we added 2 locals, and we fucking, it was the most packed I've ever seen that venue. And I've been going to that venue since I was in grade school. So like it was a really surreal moment. Like not a lot of people get to see like you go to the show and everything like that, but like having like that much, like that's a big deal. Like it was like a $14 ticket. Like we sold like 600 tickets or something. Like that was a big fucking deal for us. We were mind blown. And like that was a huge wake up call for me, like early in my career, because I was like only like maybe 2 years into that point. Like,
oh shit, okay.
It's like, bro, like you need to take this more seriously. You need to like, so I got into it. That was huge. And then, I've had a ton of success with like the parties that we throw with Third String. Mm-hmm. Selling out shows isn't anything that's like foreign to me anymore. We do it every weekend when we go out for a run with Emo Nite. I'm not sure if I've even really talked about this with you, but like I'm really involved with like Emo Nite LA. They do a ton of fucking shit here in the Midwest and I run all of it. It's been fucking really fun. We've sold out more fucking venues than I could even imagine. And I'm not only promoting those and booking them, I'm DJing them. So it's like, so it's been a fucking blast. But like this last year we did a we did like right before the pandemic hit, we did every weekend in February for the first time. I was getting myself on the schedule where we were going to hit all of these markets once a quarter. So I jam-packed 1 month out of the quarter to like do all of these shows, like in all these different markets. So we were gone every single weekend. But the first weekend that we were gone, we went to Minneapolis to do a party at the Fine Line, which is owned by First Avenue, which is one of the most famous venues in the United States. You know, you obviously know about Prince and all of that fucking like history with that venue, like crazy. They treated us like fucking family. We sold out the show pre-sale, 600 tickets, and
that's awesome.
we had never been there before. So it was crazy. Like that was where I was pre-pandemic. I was peaking hard. So yeah, it really it was a huge we celebrated very hard, you know, like because I've worked my entire career to get to that point, you know, like I've worked relentlessly to sell out shows on a weekly basis. We finally had got to it, and like we finally had visited a place that we had never been before, and selling it out pre-sale, that's extremely special. Extremely special.
That's crazy. Dude, yeah, right before the pandemic right before they shut everything down, they did that. It was only West Coast shows, but it was Terror, The Warriors, fucking Dare.
What I wouldn't give to fuck, dude, the Warriors are one of my favorite bands.
Dude, same. And I've been friends with those dudes forever. And so we did that fucking show. Dude, it was like a swan story, right? I haven't been doing much hardcore lately. You know what I mean? Because Hard Times books a lot of the hardcore stuff now. Sure. You know what I mean? And then there's been a bunch of cool, like smaller hardcore promoters that have come up that are all playing in like the young bands. So they're booking all the shit themselves. So I was like, tight, whatever. I'll stick with all my metal stuff. Like I don't give a shit. That's what I'm about. Like I want the scene to thrive. I don't care if it's me or not, you know?
Yeah.
But so we had this old venue that's just a veterans hall in Santa Cruz. But like, dude, AFI used to play in their in the basement here.
Yeah.
So like we get this venue back and they agree to let me do the Terror show. We fucking oversold the show, sold the fuck out. It was fucking wild. It was like, I saw people I haven't seen in 10 years come to one of my shows. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is a fucking, right before that, we had like 2 weekends back to back of sold out death metal shows. I was like, and we had kind of a shitty, like 2019, you know what I mean? Like it was okay, but like the last half of 2019 was a lot better. The first half was like terrible for us, you know? And then the fucking pandemic starts, and I was just like, well, "Come on, man!"
Yeah. A lot of my friends within my generational pool have kind of are experiencing the same thing. You know, it sucks. Like we were all finding, you know, because I think by the age like somewhere in between like 28 and like 36, you find where you're supposed to be, and you start really fucking shit up wherever you are.
You really get in your stride,
yeah. And everybody that I fucking know was hitting their stride. You know what I mean? So it's not a blessing because it's absolutely not, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise sometimes because we have this huge book with all of these unfilled pages that we get to write the story with now. You know what I mean? Like we have a blank canvas for the rest of our careers. You know what I mean? Like what you choose to do when things come back is one, and the success that you know that comes to you is it's purely up to you. You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to have an opportunity, you know, and I'm hoping that everybody comes back calculated and ready to go. We'll see. I know you will be, Joel. I know you will be.
Hopefully. I mean, we'll see. I mean, California, I'm in the last place that's going to reopen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
these questions are fun, man. I like these.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of a struggle coming because I think California will literally be the last state to reopen. But
yeah.
Okay. Anyways, you travel a lot, so I can actually ask you some of the touring guy questions.
Oh, get it. Let's go. Okay.
Let's get on to the fun stuff. Okay. First and foremost, what's your favorite color?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Honestly, black. I'm such a freak.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Okay, what's your favorite food?
Oh, dude, I know it's like super Midwest of me, but I fucking love a good burger, dude. I'm fucking
wrong with that.
If I'm going out to eat, I'm like, yo, where are we getting burgers from? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, my girlfriend, her dad, we will go to like a fucking like $100 steakhouse and he'll get a hamburger. Like, don't even trip.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, dude. Like,
yeah, I've gotten into like eating a little bit more clean this last year. So like, for instance, in my fridge right now, I've got like no beef. I've got like some chicken, but I've got like a ton of like faux chicken and like vegan options. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. So
I've been eating a lot of like the Impossible Burger type stuff.
Yeah. If I'm eating out, I'm definitely getting a burger because I can't do that at home anymore because I don't.
Correct.
You know.
You want to know what we've started implementing in our diet that's some real good, bro? If you can get a hold of it, jackfruit.
Yeah, good shit. No, I mean, you got to be able to cook it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Trina cooks it good. We can do like the other night we had barbecue jackfruit sliders with pepper jack cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. Sounds great. She has like a teriyaki way of cooking it that's fucking great. Like she has like 3 or 4 different ways she can prepare jackfruit, and I'm like, I don't need meat. I can just eat this. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So, okay. What is your favorite food that you can only get when you're traveling? So something you can't get in St. Louis or Omaha.
Fuck. Well,
it could be a specific restaurant, by the way. That's okay.
Yeah, it's hard because all of my favorite places are here in St. Louis now. I can get them. Like, I love Steak and Shake. I think Steak and Shake is fucking amazing. I love Jack in the Box. I'm a huge Jack in the Box fan. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I totally am.
I'm Team Wendy's if we have to choose a generic.
There's a pizza place in Kansas City that we frequent when we're there. I really like that place. It's called Fuck, I don't remember what it is now. There's 2 pizza places. There's one pizza place by the venue we play in Kansas City. I don't remember what it's called, but I fucking love that place. And there's a place in Lawrence, Kansas that we go to. It's called Papakino's. That place is fucking dope. They have great pizza. Dude, Lawrence, low-key, is like a really good food city, too. They have this really good burger place called the Casbah, and like everybody that I know that tours when they go to Lawrence eats at the Casbah. So they have this marshmallow sauce for their French fries. It is fucking nuts. Brendan from Counterparts is obsessed with it. Me and him bond over this probably like twice a year, but like it's dope. It's if you ever find yourself in Lawrence, go to the Casbah. It's super good.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Have you spent a lot of time on the East Coast?
A moderate amount. Not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, but
are you team Wawa or are you team Sheetz?
We have this conversation on my podcast sometimes too. I've never been to either. I for sure am a Midwest dog, and I love my QT. So Quick Trip is fucking amazing. Yeah. So hope to get to Wawa. Hope to get to Wawa and Sheetz.
I can tell you haven't watched to the end of a couple of my last episodes because it's a trick question.
Because it's Wawa?
No, because the answer is Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, if I had my counterpart with me, Tommy is obsessed. Tommy is obsessed with fucking Buc-ee's. I'm not a huge Buc-ee's fan. I like Quick Trip because like
I'm just gonna delete our episode right now, dude.
Yeah. I mean, Quick Trip gets you in and out in like 30 seconds. I'm very impatient. Like if you ever tour with me, you fucking know that like the gas station stops. I set a timer on my phone. Every time we stop, I'm like, y'all got 5 minutes to take a shit, get your shit, and get back in the fucking car, and we're leaving. You know, like QT offers that like that flexibility because like they will stare at you the entire time you're in there. They will check you out within like 10 seconds of like you putting your fucking food on the counter, and they're like, all right, see you later, bye. You know, like every time that like you check out with them, they're required to say, okay, see you later, next time, bye. And like they just sit there and stare at you. Like it's like almost robotic, but like you're just like, okay, I have to get out of here now. So
I love it. I can't remember the last time I was in a QT. That's
good shit, man. It's good shit.
Yeah. That's
really
awesome.
Good shit.
That's awesome. Okay. Here's the tough one. Because you're a burger guy. In-N-Out or Whataburger?
Oh man, you know, this is a very hard one to answer, and I don't think I've really come up with a good answer because I really enjoy both.
You can pick it apart, dog. I would do an In-N-Out cheeseburger with Whataburger fries dipped in their honey mustard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think that In-N-Out is like my favorite thing to get when I'm in Vegas. The one that they have on the strip at the link is a godsend. I don't know how many times I've walked past there and been like, dude, I need something to eat like right now. I'm like, holy shit, there's an In-N-Out here. I like their milkshakes too. I think their milkshakes are super underrated. Like, Like,
the only place,
stupid good.
The only fast food place that I think does better milkshakes, not including Steak and Shake because we don't have one of those.
Love Steak and Shake.
Yeah, is I love Carl's Jr.'s milkshakes.
Yeah, Carl's Jr.'s
or Hardee's. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's Hardee's here. I really think that In-N-Out probably is my favorite of the two, but like you're right. If I could get like a different set of French fries, I feel like their French fries are just kind of like weird. You know, like they're not like bad, but like it's not what I imagine coming out of like such a good burger place. You know what I mean?
Next time you go to In-N-Out, have you done the animal style? I assume.
Oh, without a doubt, dude. There's no other way to get it now.
Ask for the fries well done. They can do that for you.
Oh, crispy. Yeah,
it completely changes the experience of the animal style fries, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fucking try that.
It's good, dude.
Probably gonna be a while till I'm close to one, but Here's to better days.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Recently, Raising Cane's, bro. I love that place, dude.
You guys are just now getting Cane's out there, right?
Yes. So like
I've had Cane's for a while.
I go to Texas like once a year to see Dan and Mike and everybody,
sure.
Whether it's for a fest or whatever. Always eat Cane's. It's been in Vegas for a while now, and we're finally getting them in California.
Yeah, I think. Were you with me the night that we got In-N-Out at in Texas? You totally were. We went to In-N-Out that night. You remember that? We were trash.
Was that the night of the Suicide Silence show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was fucked up. Holy shit.
We don't talk about that, dog.
Oh, that night was
the last thing wasn't that the night that we put all those drinks on Defonce's tab?
Yes.
Or Zemer's tab or
Zemer's
tab?
Somebody, it wasn't my tab. I know that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we got fucked that night.
How was what's his name that used to fucking work with Shannon at the sidebar at the door? Then they fucking made those green tea drinks, dude. I couldn't stop drinking.
Oh yeah, I can't remember. I honestly, I don't. To be completely fair, I don't really remember much about that night, but I remember going to In-N-Out. I remember the show.
I didn't remember that we went to In-N-Out, so you got one up on me, brother.
Yeah. I remember you woke up the next morning. You were like, "Oh my god." I texted you like we just met that last night.
Yeah, that's right. I was fucking because that was when I was there for 3 days because it was like 3 days of shows that we were doing.
Dude, I was thinking about that, dude. I had that weekend I was in a really weird spot in my life. I was thinking about this prior to the podcast because that literally I think it was the last time I fucking saw you. Like it was.
No, we saw each other.
Did I see you at the Ghost Inside?
Very briefly. Yeah, it was either Ghost Inside or like something else in Texas. You were.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but I was at a really weird point in my life. I was getting ready to get like divorced and like going through like a really hard time. And like, I remember I had like several like anxiety panic attacks on that trip. And like, I didn't even fucking leave my hotel on the last day. It was bad, man. That was a bad trip.
I remember meeting you and being like, I like this guy, but like either you or Mike or somebody had said like you were just going through all this shit. And I feel like I just remember being like, I'm going to get this guy fucked up because I like him and I want to have a good time with him.
Yeah, I fucking did that trip by myself. I don't know, man. It was such a weird time in my life, but yeah it was that night was a lot of fun, man. Admittedly, I had a blast. Like
also, that was my favorite. My favorite thing back then was get good with everybody around Mike, so that Mike couldn't ignore me anymore. Because everybody would be like, "Dude, Mike, I love Joel. Why don't you call Joel back?" You know what I mean?
Oh, Mike, you can have my relationship with Mike. I'll throw it away.
No, it's okay. I'm fine with the one I have now. So.
I like Mike. I'm just fucking with him. We always give each other a hard time because I feel like he gives me an extremely hard time on every social media platform that like, exists. So.
Oh, you mean Mike Zemer, Mr. Social Media?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They should literally just rename Twitter Zemer with how much he tweets. Okay. Like
I miss Mike. I miss the team. It's been
a long time.
Yeah, it's been a hard year.
Yeah. I agree. Damn, I totally got off track with the questions I was asking you. Oh, what is let's stick in like the metalcore hardcore wheelhouse. Is there like a local band or a smaller up and coming band that you've really gotten into over the course of the pandemic that you think everybody should check out?
Yeah, man. I mean, totally. I mean, I work out of a ton of markets. So get to like interact and like see all these really cool bands. There's two bands that I've really been excited on the last couple years that have come out of the Midwest. One of them's from Oklahoma. They're called Cliff Diver. They're like pop punk. They're like elevator like pop punk. Like it's kind of crazy to like describe, but they have like they have like a saxophone player like in their pop punk band, which is like you would think it would be like, oh, it's like a ska vibe. Like, nope, it's not. It's like elevator like pop punk. It's like it's super fucking cool. So
make sure you text me that after the show because I want to check that out.
Yeah, they're fucking extremely. I've been pitching them to a ton of people, just trying to get them like some like serious management or something. So you should definitely look into them. They're fucking awesome. I had them play on an Emo Nite once in Omaha, and they fucking blew me away. They're really funny guys. They're really, really smart, and they write extremely good music. So really excited on them. And then the other band that I'm really excited on, their name is they're called Household. They're kind of they've done some like bigger tours. They've
sounds decently familiar.
They've toured with like Census Fail. They did like a run with them. I can't remember who else they've been out with, but I think they did a run. They did a run on the East Coast. Maybe played some shows with, like Balance and Composure. Maybe I don't think that's right. So just disregard that. But they're really good too. They're I don't really know how to describe them either. But they're like pop rock. Or not pop rock, but maybe just like like maybe indie rock is probably a good way to peg them. But they put out some really good songs during quarantine. I fuck with them super hard. So check out Household. They're fucking awesome.
Okay, tight. Okay, final question.
All right,
final question. Okay,
man, I was gonna say we've been on for an hour 45. We're just
dude. I know we're
having it, baby.
Well, it's nice to have like a fucking promoter.
Yeah, man, like, it's good.
Like, we literally live in the same shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and everyone that's been on the show is like a musician or in a band or.
Whenever I talk to another promoter, it's always like a long affair, because there's a lot to talk about.
Well, yeah, and I've had managers on the show, and like I manage bands on the side as well, but like I'm a promoter first, so it's like, and you're just a good person to talk to. Like I always love bouncing ideas off you. Every time we've ever chatted, it's been. I literally cannot ever think of a reason why I could say "fuck that guy" about you. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad.
That's hard. That's hard.
I'm glad that's
even like some of my best friends in the industry, like the Fonts, I can definitely think of reasons to say "fuck that guy." You know what I mean? And I can't do it for you. You know. Well, so, Dan, I love you if you watch this.
I love Dan.
Okay, so we kind of touched on this earlier with the whole like, there's sometimes like loose fame involved in this and all this shit. So like we all get wrapped up in the business and the political aspect of what we do. And like, there's always there's the human nature of wanting to be accepted and looking good. You know what I mean? So what is something about you that the basketball doesn't count because you already dropped that early. That was your fault. What is like a hobby, a characteristic, or like a personality trait about you that you wish more people knew that you don't show on the internet, or that's not easy to pick up by hanging out with you?
Yeah. I mean, fuck, man. It's kind of hard because I feel like I have like a couple things, but like definitely like my day job. Like I'm super involved in like public relations, like especially with like I had a gig in Omaha where I was like a 9-to-5 like office gig, and like I took it very seriously. I had like a great salary. It was a good job. But yeah, like I'm really involved in like public relations and shit like that. Like I went to school for, like I said, I went to school for journalism. And I've worked with a couple different companies. I guess I really don't broadcast it out there, but I work in like digital analytics for like for public relations professionals. So like I help my clients kind of understand what's happening in the news media sphere in relation to like their brand. So I work with like hospitals and like a bunch of different organizations. I work with the CDC. They're one of my clients right now. Like I make like a weekly bulletin for them on like, a specific amount of topics that they want to track in the news media so they can stay up to date with what's going on within those spheres. So it's it sounds really complicated, but in all reality, it's like, it's something that comes very easily for me. Like I understand news media very well. I know how to measure it, and I know how to help people draw the connection between news media coverage and organizational goals and priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, other than work, I enjoy being a vinyl collector. I love fucking collecting vinyl. I put that out there sometimes on Instagram. I'll take pictures, but I got a pretty nice collection. I like to think that I'm kind of a vinyl head, so like I like that. But I also like to spend time outside with my dog. That's probably the other thing. Like I know people know that I like my dog. Like my dog is like my fucking best friend, but I really enjoy being outside and like taking walks and like shit like that, just like clearing my head and like being able to be outside.
You gotta get that in sometimes, man.
Yeah, dude, it's more so, it's crazy because like I have, living in Omaha, like the winters are super brutal and I usually don't leave my house for like 3 or 4 months like during the winter there, but like since I live here now, like it was 60 degrees out today, so it's been nice to be able to get out like early in the year and like be able to like get some fucking sunshine. And yeah, man, other than that, dude, I play a fuckload of Call of Duty. That's it. I'm a pretty open book. Unfortunately, there's not too much about me that people don't know.
Sometimes that happens. It's all good, baby.
Yeah, but yeah. So, well, thanks for having me on, dude. This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a fucking blast.
Damn, we talked the time this flew by, dude.
Yeah, for real.
A few minutes ago, and I was like, it's fast 5 o'clock here. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's 7:30. It's dinner time, baby. I got some chicken falling out over there with some Brussels sprouts. I'm trying to lose. Okay, here's something we can end on too for that last question.
Okay.
I've recently picked up a habit of running. I like to run.
Oh, okay.
So I'm training for a 5K for sometime hopefully in August.
I have the most fucked up knees and posture, and running is just out of my brain.
I'm trying to use these babies while I can, because they're gonna be gone here soon. This old kneecap. It's gonna be a harsh reality when I turn 50, and I've been running on concrete for the last 15 years. So.
All right, I've been a big dude. This is the least I've weighed probably in the last like 6 years.
Yeah.
So I've been being more conscious of what I eat. My problem is like cutting out the carbs. Like that's the hardest. Like I'm so
extremely difficult, my guy.
Yeah, I'm so used to eating something with a side of rice, or
absolutely
on a bun, or wrapped in a tortilla. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, that's been the hardest thing for me too. I tried keto this last summer and I got the most insane headaches. I couldn't do it. Like carbs are so ingrained into my diet that I've cut down, but like still like in eyesight right now, I have some ice cream shell bowls that are waffle cones. I have tortillas. There's bread, noodles, quinoa, noodles, and rice. So I'm fucked.
Dude, I eat so much of that shit. When I got my levels checked a couple of years ago, you did your blood work and shit. The doctor literally like went over my weight. This was before I lost the weight I've lost. This like between my weight and all my test results and everything, she literally looked at me and goes, I don't think your body can handle you doing keto. Like you would have keto flu to the point where I put you in the hospital. I was like,
yep. That's about where I was, dude. My headache was so intense. It was nuts. Like it's fucking, it's real. It's real, dude. Yeah.
I've been yawning this whole episode because I just quit soda. So I'm trying to have I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning and that's my caffeine all day.
0 sugar, 0 caffeine, baby. I'm with you.
And I'm not, I can't, my brain is not used to functioning like that. Like I have a soda or I'll have multiple cups of coffee.
I haven't been sleeping well lately either. This has been a hot topic of debate in my house last week.
Brother, CBD.
See, I already... everybody knows it. I smoke a shitload of weed, so I don't even know. Like, I should probably try some CBD, but like, not even the weed is helping at this point, dude. Like, my sleep is just, my sleep quality as I've gotten older has just plummeted. It's fucking tanked. It's so bad.
I was doing really bad, and then I started I started doing CBD more for my anxiety than anything else, and I found out that it also helps me sleep really well.
Right.
Also, I started seeing a chiropractor.
Nice.
Earlier, like last year during the pandemic, and let me tell you, I'm like a whole new fucking person.
I started stretching more. That's really helped me. Like I've started stretching a shitload. Like I stretch probably
stretch more, but
yeah, I try to stretch like 3 times a day.
So yeah, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, like yeah, dude, it's crazy too because like I'll stretch and then like if I'm playing video games or something like in between a game, I'll just like get down and do like 25 push-ups or like 25 sit-ups or something like that. You know, it's those subtle things to get you back in the mindset.
Dude, I respect the hustle.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, right. Just kind of fit it in when you can.
There you go.
Well, thanks again for having me on, dude.
I'm just fucking lazy, dude. So I'll try to
I'm lazy.
I'll try to take a page out of your book. Oh, I lost this game. Let me do 5 push-ups. All right.
Yep. That's it, dude. That's all you got to do. But all right, man. Well, thanks for fucking having me on, dude.
Yeah. Well, before you leave, how can anybody that's interested in your life and how can they find you? Like, what's your handle?
Yeah. At Austin Omaha on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I love Facebook still. I'm totally a boomer in that aspect. So if you want to find me on Facebook, just search my name. I'm really easy to find. My podcast for the music podcast, you can find it at Left Off Pod on Twitter, and then Where We Left Off podcast on Instagram. If you're interested at all in my basketball podcast, it's Section 229 Talk on Twitter and everywhere else. So
that's right.
Come hang out with me, man. I like talking about anything. So
I will have all those linked in the description of the episode for those of you watching at home. Austin, thank you for joining me.
Dude, thank you.
Fucking so rad. I'm so glad that like I just saw you tweet about your podcast and I was like, dude, like I didn't even think about having you on the show until I saw that. I was like, I should ask him.
Dude, yeah, an invite will be coming your way. Like we're booked so far into like March and like almost April now. So I've got you in my sights. We'll have you on soon. I'm really excited to have you on too, man.
Sure.
There's a lot of different things that we can discuss, and like there's a lot of different things that we could discuss based on what we talked about today to continue the conversation. So
yeah, I like that.
Looking forward to it, buddy.
All right, Austin. Thank you for being here. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy Joel Cupcake.
Your boy.
All his info will be. Damn it! I always do that wrong. All of his info over here. This fucking guy will be down below. So follow him, support his shit, check out his podcasts, check out Third String Productions. He's fucking everywhere.
I couldn't figure out where it was. It's
if you already follow Mike Zemer on Twitter, unfollow Mike Zemer and follow Austin so that you only have to follow one Third String employee. Makes life much easier.
Yeah, you don't have to hear about his stock talk anymore.
I have to end the podcast. Otherwise, we're going to go off about that for like 20 minutes.
Love you.
Austin, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in.